this is David with David's Tutorials, and in today's videos I want to show you how to make caramel corn. Yum, yum. I need to tell you this right up front, this is not my recipe, although I did dress it up just a little bit. Let me read it to you what I have on my piece of paper here. My son got this recipe off the internet and he sent it to me in February 2011. It makes the good kind of caramel corn that doesn't break your teeth or pull them out. I've been upgrading this recipe and the techniques as I make more batches of it, and the time required is about an hour and a half, but not much of that hour and a half is work. Most of it is just baking the caramel corn. Now I will tell you this, I haven't made any batches of this for about 4 years, and that's because I have been on a ketogenic diet, and needless to say, caramel corn is just not friendly to a ketogenic diet. But I'm going to try it again right now, and this is the way I learned to make it before, and this was so good, both my son and I wound up making batches of this and giving it away to people as Christmas gifts. Now the first thing you need to do is to take 2 regular size cookie sheets and line them with parchment paper. Now the key here is you want to line them with parchment paper such that the parchment paper overlaps the rims on all 4 sides so that it makes kind of a dish in the middle of the cookie sheet, and that way the caramel corn won't come out of it. This parchment paper is not wide enough to cover the whole sheet end to end, so we're going to have to do it long ways. Let's try this. And it curls this way, so I'm going to turn it upside down, and that will be 1 cookie sheet. And let's do it for this cookie sheet as well. The cookie sheets are prepared. Now let's go do the caramel sauce. Now to make the sauce, I've got a medium-sized pot right here on the stove, medium large, looks like it's about 3 or 4 quarts. And into this pot, I'm going to put 2 sticks of butter. With the butter in there, I'm going to go ahead and turn on the heat and let it start warming up and melting that butter. Is there anything better than melted butter? The next thing to go in there is 2 cups of brown sugar. Now the recipe doesn't say whether this should be packed brown sugar or loose brown sugar, but generally brown sugar should be measured packed. We'll put a little bit more in there. Those of us who have worked with brown sugar in the past have recognized that 2 cups of brown sugar is about a 1 pound box. That's 2 cups of brown sugar. The next thing to go in there is 1/2 cup of corn syrup. You'll notice that all the ingredients we use here are pretty much brand new and fresh. If you want your recipes to turn out really good, then you need to always use fresh ingredients. And the last ingredient as we're heating it up is salt, 1/2 teaspoon. Now I use kosher salt, but you're welcome to use any kind of salt you wish. Once we have these ingredients in here, I'm going to turn up the heat a little bit and continue to stir it, because the object here is to boil it for 1 to 2 minutes. And of course you can't boil it until you get some heat in it, right? Now you'll be able to tell when it's ready because it becomes very smooth when you stir it. Also, because there's sugar in the pan, you do not want to leave it on the heat unattended and unstirred. What's on the bottom of the pan is obviously the hottest part of the pan, and if you leave any sugar in contact with that heat for a long period of time, it will burn, it will stick, it will ruin your batch of caramel for your caramel corn. Notice the recipe says to boil it for 1 to 2 minutes. It's not boiling yet, so I got to keep stirring it until it starts to boil. Then I'm going to time it. It is starting to boil. I can see some bubbles over at the edge. As it begins to boil ferociously, I am turning the heat down because I don't want it to get out of control. I just want it to boil. And that's exactly what it's doing. When you boil this, essentially it changes the nature of the sugar. It turns it from something light and thin into something a little bit thicker, and that's exactly what we want for our caramel corn. Notice how I'm checking the consistency of it. That's not quite there yet, but it's almost. Just pick up a spoonful of it, and when it gets to the point that the bubbles don't look quite so ferocious, but they're still going fast, it will change very quickly, so watch out. What it is, the water in the mixture evaporates, and once the water is totally evaporated, that is when the character of the mixture changes. The reason there's water in the mixture is because we put butter in it. And as you may know, butter is about 20% water. It's the same reason that butter browns very quickly once all the water boils out of it when you're browning butter. And I think that's about got it. We're going to call it done. Of course, to make caramel corn, you gotta have popcorn. I have here, it's between 8 and 9 cups of popcorn. It was about 1/3 cup of kernels. The recipe on the piece of paper that I showed you earlier has about 1/2 cup of kernels. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It is what it is. Next thing we need to do is to pour the popcorn out onto the baking sheets. So I'm gonna put about half on each one. Spread it around, even it up. Make sure that the parchment paper covers the sides of the pan, because if I drool any caramel, I don't want it to get on the pan. And of course, the next thing we have to do is pour the caramel onto the popcorn. Here we go. And how much should you put on there? All of it. If you wind up with too much caramel on your caramel corn, then you just have to say, oh well. The next thing to do is to get all the corn coated in the caramel. And I'm sure you know how to do that. By the way, I know some people are going to say, well, how do I pop popcorn? I don't really need to tell you how to pop popcorn, do I? Besides, when you buy popcorn, the instructions are going to be right on the popcorn container. Say exactly what you need to do. Besides, I haven't discovered any magic tricks to make popcorn better popcorn yet. I mean, popcorn's just popcorn. It's basically, you gotta pop it, and then how good it is depends on what you put on it. I like caramel sauce. Or cheese powder, or barbecue powder, or any of the other butter. Gotta have butter on popcorn. Now it does not matter if the popcorn all sticks together at this point. Later on, the popcorn will be in individual popped kernels and they will not stick together. Right now they're stuck together and it doesn't matter. Yeah, I know it seems kind of messy at this stage. That's okay. You don't need to worry if it seems kind of messy at this point. We just want to spread it out so that when we put it in the 250-degree oven, it will be equally heated up, equally baked. Let's put it into the oven. Once the caramel corn is in the oven, you bake it for 12 to 15 minutes, then you bring it out, you stir it up, and put it back in. Another 12 to 15 minutes. It usually takes about 4, maybe 5 of these 12 to 15 minute sessions before all of the caramel coating the corn is even and it has stopped sticking. I'm going to show you that one time. I'll let you intuit the other times that I do this, and then I'll show you the final time, and you'll be very pleased with how it turns out. Okay, the first heating shift is done. Now I'm going to go get that pan out of the oven one at a time, and I'm going to stir them up right here on this. The first time you stir them on the pan, it's going to be really sticky, so don't worry about that. Just do your best. The whole point here is to get the caramel coated evenly on all the popcorn. So over here on the edge where you see there's some popcorn that's not coated, I'm going to fold that right into the middle and get the caramel on it. Can't have any of the popcorn miss out on all that yummy. After I've stirred it all up, I'm going to spread it out, put it back in the oven, and get out the other pan. Set a timer for 12 minutes.
Your timer is set for 12 minutes.
There we go. Ready for the next shift. Okay, I think one of the trays is ready. I'm going to go get it and we'll take a look at it. Notice how the individual pieces of corn are not sticking to each other. They're all individuals. I'm going to call this tray ready. I'm going to let it go ahead and cool a little bit, and then I'll stir it one more time, but the corn is not sticking to itself, and that's when you know it's ready. Now I have stirred the other tray in the oven, and it's not quite ready. I noticed earlier that that tray probably has a little bit more caramel on the corn than this tray right here does, and it's just going to take it a little bit longer to get to the point that the caramel hardens and makes it so the corn pieces do not stick to each other. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope even more that you make this caramel corn and that you really enjoy it. Remember, my son and I made this, and for several years we thought it was so good we would make batches of it and give it away as Christmas gifts to our friends. Maybe you would consider doing the same thing. It takes some work, but it's definitely worth it, because if you got some friends, they're definitely worth a little bit of your time, your effort, and your love. Don't you agree? Please, if you enjoyed this video, give us a great big old thumbs up And that will let the YouTube robots know that you like the video, and they'll be able to recommend it to more people. And of course, it'll let me know that you enjoy the video. Don't forget to leave us a comment down in the comment section below. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you so very much. And if you're not, why not go ahead right now and click that subscribe button and then the bell icon, and YouTube will notify whenever we post another great tutorial right here on David's Tutorials.